The Lavender Journal. It was the scent of lavender that brought Claire back. After nearly 3 decades away, Claire Dubois returned to the small French village of Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, where the summers were warm, the shutters faded blue, and the air always carried a trace of wild herbs. Her parents had long passed. The old stone house sat silent under wisteria vines, and the village itself had changed in those subtle ways that only time could right. She came with one suitcase, her mother's ring on a chain around her neck, and a heart that hadn't felt steady in years. Claire had lived most of her adult life in Amsterdam, working as a school librarian. She had never married. There had been a few loves, small and quiet like the turning of pages, but none of them stayed. Maybe she didn't let them. Now, at 60, with retirement behind her and silence ahead, she came back to the place that held her beginnings. The house groaned when she stepped inside. The dust was thick, the air old. She left the suitcase by the door, opened every window she could, and let the mistral wind breathe through the rooms. That first night, she slept on a cot with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, listening to the crickets and the groan of beams settling after years of sleep. Over the following weeks, she cleaned. She scrubbed the tiles, beat out old rugs, aired every sheet. She spent mornings at the village market buying fresh bread and cheese, and afternoons sorting through boxes left in the attic. That's where she found it, a small lavender-colored journal tied with a faded green ribbon. She didn't recognize it at first. The handwriting wasn't hers, or her mother's. She untied the ribbon. July 12th, 1979. I saw her again today. She doesn't remember me, but I remember her. Claire's breath caught in her throat. She read on. Each page was a short entry, written in a gentle, longing hand. It was a boy's voice. No, maybe a young man. Observations of her, Claire, in her teenage summers. Notes about the way she sat by the fountain, the way she braided her hair, the books she read beneath the fig tree. It was a love letter, but one written in fragments, never sent, never spoken. She sat there on the attic floor for hours, reading. The journal covered 4 summers. Then it stopped. The final entry. August 20th, 1982. I wanted to tell her today. But she laughed with that boy from Marseille. I walked away. I think that's what I'll always do. Claire closed the book. Her hands were trembling. Who had written this? Who had watched her from the shadows of adolescence, too afraid to speak? The name on the inside cover was faint. L. Fournier. Her heart leapt. Louis Fournier. She remembered him now. He had lived 2 streets away. A quiet boy, always drawing in the back of class. They had shared a few smiles. Nothing more. Or so she thought. Claire stood up. She didn't know what she felt. Sadness? Wonder? Regret? She had spent a lifetime chasing security, structure. And here was a ghost of a different life, one that had waited in silence. The next morning, she asked at the bakery, then at the post office. Louis Fournier still lived in the village. He owned a small framing shop at the edge of town near the lavender fields. Claire walked there with the journal in her bag, her steps slow, unsure. The bell above the door jingled when she entered. Louis looked up. He had aged, of course, but his eyes were the same. That soft, uncertain brown. He recognized her. She saw it in the way his breath caught. I found something, she said, placing the journal on the counter. He stared at it, then at her. His hand hovered over the cover. You kept it? He whispered. I found it in the attic. They stood in silence. Finally, she smiled. Why didn't you ever say anything? He chuckled, a sound that was half embarrassment, half relief. I didn't think you'd remember me. I do now. They walked after that, through the village, then into the lavender fields. They talked about summers long gone, about lives that never crossed again until now. There was no grand declaration, no movie ending, but there was something else, a sense of time folding in on itself, of a story paused, not ended, and maybe, just maybe, beginning again.